Welcome to Oxford in England. We are here on campus. My name is Margaret Potter, and these students are awaiting the arrival of Cyril Burt, who formerly studied psychology here at the University of Oxford. We are excited for him to get here shortly. Here I have a student named William. William, why are you excited about Cyril Burt coming to Oxford campus?
Well, since the dawn of man, his research has shown us that he's great.
There he is.
Hello, mates. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Cyril Burt.
So nice to
I'm
meet
excited
you.
to show you guys my studies on IQ and twins.
So Cyril, please explain your IQ studies.
Well, to elaborate, I examined many different pairs of twins, but raised in different environments from each other.
Yes.
And what I found was that on IQ tests, they scored almost exactly the same to the third decimal point, despite being raised with different families.
It's amazing.
So, Cyril Burt, just wanted to thank you so much for coming and speaking with students today. What do you think is going to be the greatest impact of your studies?
I mean, I think the greatest impact of my studies is just the fact that IQ and genetics really is the primary factor in determining who you are.
So, the environment does not play a role.
I would say no, not at all.
Hello, this is Margaret Potter, reporting to you again from Oxford University. I have breaking news that Cyril Burt, who died 5 years ago, in fact, all of his studies are being refuted now as false. So, Edward, what did you find with the twin studies that Cyril Burt did that was inaccurate?
Well, recent investigations have shown that Cyril Burt is likely guilty of fraud. The research assistants he supposedly used were fake. He wrote essays in their names, they were not real. And the correlations he found between their intelligence were almost identical to the third decimal place, which is once again statistically impossible.
So, do you think that he changed the answers to match the twin set?
I believe it is more likely that he fudged the numbers intentionally rather than made a careless mistake. And as a matter of fact, we have just learned that the British Psychological Society has declared him guilty of fraud.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are live from New York tonight with Charles Murray and the late Richard Herrnstein. Unfortunately, all he can do is smile and wave.
Yes, his spirit is with us tonight.
We are here to talk about their recent publication of The Bell Curve. What would you say is the most important thing you found out in publishing this book?
The most important thing that I found out is that intelligence is a real thing and that it can be measured. I would say that as we've done our studies, we weren't trying to look for differences between people, such as between races, between blacks and whites, but we have determined and we have found that through our research that there is a distinct difference between blacks and whites in IQ, and that there is pretty much nothing that you can do about that. The standard deviation between these groups is about 15 points.
So, Charles, your research has shown that IQ is unchangeable, absolutely. How would you say that we ought to change policies in this country?
Well, as I've seen America supposedly grow over since the mid-20th century, I've seen that we've cared more about equality more than we've cared about making our country great again. We've seen things like affirmative action put into place. We've seen things such as letting more immigrants into our country and pouring more money into education over the past 50 years. And what I've seen from my research and what we know about intelligence, this does nothing.
Just wanted to ask you a few more questions to clarify a few things about your research. Why do you only spend 2 paragraphs out of the hundreds of pages in the bell curve explaining how you would use that or why you would use IQ as a measure of intelligence?
Well, IQ for us is just simply this. It's a general measurement of intelligence. We honestly believe that through our research at what we've done and what we've seen, the IQ tests that we have now, they are standardized, they are good to go, they are basically able to determine what we need to know about people.
When you look at IQ, you look at kind of like math and verbal and a few things, but what if you have people who are very talented musicians, but they can't do a math problem? Also, I saw that if you take a child who lives in a low socioeconomic status home and put them in a home with higher socioeconomic status, their IQ will jump 20 points. How would you kind of address that one?
The only thing I can say is that there's always exceptions to the rule. It's the only thing I can say.
What if exceptions happen the majority of the time, though?
I don't know how to answer that.
How do you know that someone is a specific race if you have, aren't those categories arbitrary too?
I would say no. There are certain distinct differences I feel like there are between people, but
I mean, the fact that you have populations able to just constantly change gene patterns, you have genetic drift between all races, all peoples, no one's completely isolated. How can you even be one race? What we have from the bell curve can't really be trusted. We just have too many questions and not answers. And we also can see that the environment does play a role in people's success in life, and also just the whole fact of race being biological and distinct really doesn't hold up in practice. So I'm sorry for having to do this to you on television, Charles, but I really wanted to get some clarification with questions today.
Alright, Fred and George, you have 30 minutes to take this assessment, and the time begins right now. Alright, gentlemen, the assessment is now over. Please put down your number 2 pencils. Assistant Addison, would you please collect these completed exams from these fine gentlemen? Interestingly enough, both these test subjects got an 88, and they are identical twins. Coincidence? I think not.
But Cyril, I had 2 different scores. I had a 66 and an 88. I saw you change it.
2 different scores? You must be treated for feeble-mindedness immediately, ma'am. Get out of my sight.